Allow me to share an intriguing story about a fast food giant that faced significant challenges due to a seemingly insignificant toy. Imagine this, the year is 1999, the first Pokemon movie has just come out and you notice that they are having a collaboration with one of the most well-known fast food restaurants, Burger King. Well, my friends, you don't have to imagine it, because it was a reality if you were a kid during this time. The plan was to release these Pokeballs that would contain these rubber toys of a variety of Pokemon in the spirit of this new movie. This collab was set to last 8 weeks from November to December of 1999. Burger King then agreed to do this for a total of $22 million, so when the time came, anyone could come to Burger King, order a kid's meal, and receive one of these Pokeballs. The toy was a Pokeball that would split open in half when you pulled these two pieces apart, and it would reveal one of the 57 Pokemon that you had a chance to receive. It was immediately met with a great response. The North American president for Burger King had to run a full newspaper ad apologizing for the shortages of this popular toy. Everything seemed to be going great until tragedy struck.
Trading night.
December 11th, 1999 was when the first death happened. It was a 13-month-old girl in Sonora, California. The toddler was found deceased in her playpen with half of the Pokeball toy covering her mouth and nose. This was the first time a Burger King toy had been blamed for her death. The Consumer Product Safety Commission asked for Burger King to place a recall on these toys because they found that the design of the container made it easier to suffocate on rather than a plastic egg or cup. They noticed that it would cause this vacuum effect, making the container stick to the child's face, but Burger King did not comply since it was not proven that the ball was the cause of death. On December 23rd, an 18-month-old girl in Kansas was about to suffer the same fate as a toddler that was found dead. Luckily, her father was there to remove the container from her face before any serious injury was caused to her. After the second occurrence, Burger King finally decided to announce the recall, but the CPSC wanted them to wait at least 5 days to get a nationwide strategy in place. They also wanted all stores to cease the distribution of these containers. However, the news leaked to the press and they released an early press release on December 27th to announce the recall. This outraged government officials since they argued that they still needed time to get recall posters to more than 8,000 restaurants, a media campaign, and an appearance on a national news show for the chairperson of the CPSC, Ann Brown. In addition, they wanted to avoid the period after Christmas while families were still traveling and couldn't watch the news or listen to the radio. When the time came, Ann Brown proceeded to do the segment that was planned on NBC News Today. However, she changed the focus of the segment to criticize the chain for announcing the recall too soon, and that they were taking their sweet time to see if the recall was even deemed necessary. Brown stated that she was still upset by the actions of the chain a week after the incident, adding that most companies are more cooperative than they have been. She had compared it to an incident that happened around the same time where a Nordstrom department store's sweater zipper detached and became a choking hazard. After that, the sweaters were immediately recalled. Burger King then stated to parents saying that they should take the containers away from children 3 years or younger and should be thrown away or returned to Burger King. Once they did that, they were eligible for a free order of small fry. They noted that children could keep the toy that came with the ball. Charles Nicholas, the Burger King spokesperson, stated that more than 25 million containers were included in the recall. The containers did not have any notice saying it was a choking hazard, stating that it passed all the choking tests and was appropriate for all ages. Burger King claimed that it passed all the U.S. CPSC requirements and all international safety standards. In a Knight Ridder Washington Bureau article where they criticized the recall process used by companies, saying that companies are not often required to restart a recall or provide incentives to return the product. The editor Ben Finley refers to this recall because the item was of negligible cost to the purchasers of the kids' meal. Many parents did not return the containers to Burger King. Burger King initiated a recall campaign worth $1 million, which included TV ads and warnings on takeout bags and train.
Burger King and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission want you to know about the voluntary recall of this Pokemon Pokeball. The ball may pose a suffocation hazard to children under 3. Throw the ball away or return it to Burger King. The safety of your child is of the utmost importance to us.
Landers from the restaurant. More than 100,000 nose flyers were sent to healthcare providers and many sites that were frequently visited by Pokemon fans. Despite all this effort from the company, a 4-month-old boy in Indianapolis died of suffocation on January 25th, 2000 in his crib. The senior attorney for Burger King stated that their recall efforts were as strong or stronger for their marketing campaign. According to the Burger King spokesperson, Burger King destroyed more than 22.5 million undistributed containers and more than 500,000 were returned by December 2000. The acting chairperson, Nancy A. Nord, assumed that most people threw them away. The research was done on the recall and it showed that customers who didn't respond to the recall, 60% had thrown the containers away, which is considered an effective recall. BurgerKing acknowledged that its toy safety problems were not solved, as in 2 years they have recalled 3 toys intended for toddlers. However, they made sure to show a distinction between this recall and the Pokemon recall, stating that there were no injuries in these recalls. After the recall, BurgerKing improved its testing procedures and hired a human factor psychologist to evaluate toys and how children will use them. BurgerKing has received criticism for what many described as a slop start on their part to the recall of the product. Chairperson Ann Brown commented that the death should be a clear indication that there is a problem, saying that people don't want the deaths of several children to come before a recall is issued. Brown said that they came around, but it required a push from them. In response to the abrupt announcement 2 days before it was planned to go out, industry experts expect that the decision angered the commission and Brown, who used high-profile media appearances to break the news of the recall. The president of the Chicago-based fast food firm Technomic, Ron Paul, stated that these kinds of things are easily forgotten after a matter of weeks, if not days. He added that most people attribute this to a toy problem, not a Burger King problem. The Equity Marketing Inc. commented that the containers met or exceeded strict federal safety guidelines and underwent rigorous safety testing by an independent third-party laboratory during and after production. Federal officials complained that Burger King refused to acknowledge the severity of the problem, but Kim Miller denied this. She stated when Burger King learned of the death, the company suggested issuing a parental advisory to warn the parents of the containers to children under 3. The director of the recall division, Mark Shoham, of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, said that there needed to be some kind of drastic action to get people to stop using the product, and that only alerting parents to take the ball away from the children without giving them specifics would be no good. Ellen Mogg, assistant manager of a Burger King restaurant, stated that they have not received any complaints from the parents about it being a hazard. She felt like they had been prompt in recalling them. The news of the recall was far-reaching, being covered in newspapers around the globe, including the Japanese publication Japan Weekly Monitor. In response to the recall, the CPSC announced it was examining other similar Pokemon Pokeball toys to see if there should be a recall for them. They did not conclude this, yet they recommend parents keep them out of reach from children under 3. The Pokeballs were made by different distributors but look alike. Hasbro is one of them who distribute retail sold Pokeballs. They declined to comment on the differences between Burger King's design. However, they stated that their products are labeled for ages 4 and up and meet all federal and industry standards. The last thing that was heard after this incident was the parents of the 13-month-old girl filed a lawsuit against Burger King. They won a monetary settlement from Burger King, both of them agreeing to keep the dollar amount confidential. To wrap up this account, I want to express my opinion. I believe that Burger King should have taken into consideration the possibility of children suffocating, especially since young children are not always aware of potential hazards. Therefore, they should have implemented safety measures from the very beginning. After the first incident occurred, they should not have hesitated to issue a recall. As per Brown's statement, death should not be considered a serious sign that something is wrong. However, it did seem that they did not have enough time to verify the safety of the toys before releasing them into the market. Nevertheless, the company has learned from its mistakes and has hired the appropriate personnel to make sure their toys are safe and do not require any recalls in the future. By the way, if you feel like you've enjoyed listening to me, please like the video and feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I'll catch up with you guys later.